It's good to have you joining us again this week on the Boss Hole Chronicles. This is your co-host, John Brewer. Welcome back to part 2 of our interview and discussion with Jonathan Reynolds, the CEO of Titus Talent Strategies. You learned last week a little bit more about Jonathan's journey and how he has continued for his entire career to get better at being a leader, a developer of people, and how all of us can inadvertently stray into the boss hole zone if we're not careful. This week, you're going to hear more about what the organization is doing, and specifically around how they look at generosity. Not about what can we do for ourselves, but what can we do for others. This is really a very unique and refreshing way to understand their DNA as an organization and the role that generosity plays in that. So settle in, take a listen, and take a lesson from just some really cool stuff that Titus Talent Strategies is doing and making a difference, a real difference, in the world. The Boss Hole Chronicles are brought to you by Real Good Ventures, a talent optimization firm helping organizations diagnose their most critical people and execution issues with world-class analytics. Make sure to check out all the resources in the show notes and be sure to follow us and share your feedback. Enjoy today's episode. Before we hit record, we were just talking about themes and getting caught up in something that you shared with us about what you're seeing with clients and organizations in terms of they want growth and they want retention, but there's another element that you articulated, and I'd love for you to share that with our listeners and talk more about that.
Yeah, I think, so here it is. Here's my kind of like secret sauce. As I look back, we have really high retention of our teams. We're 100% mobile or remote, and close to 90% in our industry is like really high turnover that I'm in talent recruitment, hiring. So I was looking at this whole thing like, because we've grown so much, we've hired over 100 people in the last 18 months just to join our team.
Wow.
And you're like, wow, that's a lot. And so it's almost, this tipping point of like the new could outweigh the old or the OGs. And so we're pretty intentional when it comes to bringing people into culture and bringing them up in the culture of our values and DNA. But I realized a lot of the things that we do, because we've grown so fast, people don't know why we do them. They know that that's what we do, but they don't necessarily know why. And so I sort of went through our kind of manifesto of why it was all of our sort of employee manual, but it's a lot more kind of richer than that. So history and kind of vision of where we're going, how we're going to get there, and our values and DNA. So I went through sort of, okay, how many themes can I find in here that I could to teach on? And so I said, okay, it was like 24 different things in there actually. And I said, all right, for the next a theme every month, I'm going to start the month off. So here's the theme. We're going to teach on this DNA piece. But one of the things was very clear in our DNA, which is this key of generosity. So a lot of organizations have some kind of giving back. I don't love the word giving back. It just sounds like you took too much. But it's kind of like being in the buffet or your little kid, like, put that back. You've taken way too much. Think about other people, So
got it.
I got some childhood trauma, apparently. But this sense of giving and generosity. A lot of organizations, we give, and they do the big giant check, and they hand it there at some big ribbon cutting ceremony or something, and it's like ta-da, ta-da, we're generous, and you're like, okay, I don't really know what that means, but like what percentage of your income is this, like a 2.2%? I don't know. I know you want to tell the world about it, and you've got logos on your website of the United Way and American Heart Foundation, all the big kind of not-for-profits that you give to,
right?
But I was just thinking about it, like, well, what is it that we do really well? And I was thinking it's this purposeful and personalized generosity. So understanding, and you guys know this full well because of being predictive index practitioners, like it's understanding the people that you're leading and caring. What's their love language? What's their communication style? So rather than me as CEO saying, I give a percentage of our company's profits to this thing that I care about and my family care about, and everyone in the company should feel good about it. I think that gets them going in the same way. In the same as if I said, guess what? I bought a boat. They'd be like, ooh, like,
Right.
you want us to celebrate you? We worked our tail off. You want us to keep working our tail off, and you're going to buy another one? Like, by the way, I don't have a boat, and I don't have a problem if you do have a boat. But I found that people don't really care what you do with your money, but they do care what you do with all of it. Like, they want to know that something good is happening, and I think there's a move with the new generations coming through that you're going from boomers who deeply cared about job security. Gen Xers caring so much about significance, and that's why the helicopter parents are there, because they were latchkey kids, and they kind of divert to, no, I will be at every sports game, and my kids are going to know that I'm watching them and following them on their iPhone the whole time.
Yeah.
So then the next generation comes in and go, give me freedom. Don't micromanage me. Don't be hovering all over me. And so then they're like, I want freedom. This gen, millennials, and then the next gen coming through going, no, it's not about that. I want purpose. I want my life to count. I want it to matter. If I'm going to work somewhere, it better be something that's purposeful. Well, that's really tough if your company's a quote unquote boring manufacturing company making something that they, some kind of like magically connected seal that is used in some kind of piece. It's like, and so how do you tie this? Well, by finding out what's most meaningful to your people. Usually it's something to do with their family. Like, if I said, what's the most meaningful thing in your world? Like, usually it's going to come about family. People on their deathbed say, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. Like, well, great. One simple thing we can do is find out what's important to them and their family and give to those things. Just simply do that. Carve out, if you carve out 1%, 2%, 10% of your company profits, whatever that number is, and put it in a fund and say, this is for the things that our people care about. Like, when you deeply care about something, the answer is yes. I realized another thing is the empowerment for people to actually know that there is a fund set aside for them. They shouldn't feel guilty. But when we say we're going to crush our goals, they know that there's a benefit to them, that we're putting money aside for celebration of the things that are important to them. So if my kid, 15-year-old son, comes home and says, Dad, there's a parent night at soccer, my soccer team, and I know exactly what they're going to say. We're going to be selling candy bars. I know it. I know we're selling candy bars, like the dreaded moment. And I'm like, actually, not out of generosity, but out of pure, I don't want to sell candy bars. I'll be like, how much of the uniforms? Look how generous I am. Yeah, I'll buy them. That's what's it, $3,000? Cool. I'm on for 3. Like, oh wow, Mr. Reynolds, you're so generous. I'm like, nope, I just don't want to go door to door selling candy bars. And I have the means to do it. What if I empowered everybody in our company to go do the same thing? Put their hand up and be like, I got it. My kid's volleyball team. We got new outfits. My company's paying for it. And people look at our team members and go, you own a company? Like, no, my company, we are a for-profit, for-good organization. We love impact in our local communities, and that's what the money's there for. So suddenly, a community is now impacted by Titus Talent Strategies.
Right.
And people go, how does that work? Like, you're going to quit? You're going to move companies? Isn't your company the one that makes sure we have new outfits and uniforms for our kids' team every year? Like, oh, yeah. Now it's a community decision. Like, don't leave that company. I love that you work with Titus Talent. So you're like, wow,
there's retention
strategic.
Right there. Yeah.
There's strategy there. And it's not like, cool, we want our logo everywhere. I actually don't care about the logo. Our head of marketing does. They're like, yes, stick the logo on the thing. Do it, some kids' youth team. And I always joke around that we're only doing it if they're winners. If they're losers, we don't want our name on it.
Oh, anyway. Jonathan, that is so creative. I've not heard. So you set up a fund and you encourage just that dialogue to identify what are the things that are critical for your family.
Simply, administratively, there's a Google Doc, which everybody has a link for us on our SharePoint or whatever, and they can grab that thing and they just put a request in, how much they're putting a request in for. And I often will double it. I'll tell you a real fun story. So one more story of where this kind of hit me. You see this all the time, like on social media, someone's raising money for something. I saw on some social media thing, one of our employees, I didn't know them very well at the time. Well, I didn't know them personally. And it said they were raising $1,000 for cystic fibrosis. I don't know anything about cystic fibrosis. Clicked on it. I was like, $1,000, that's a bit low in my mind. I'm like, cool. So I just hit the money, hit $1,000 from our fund. We have the money aside. Why not? I got an email from her, and she's on our team, and she's like, she goes, I'm just blown away. I've hit the number. And I'm like, and it's like a drug addict or something. The appreciation, I hit it again. I'm like, just double it. So we double the number. I'm like, oh, that's fun. And I get an email from her that night. She goes, I had to wait till my husband got home. She goes, his younger sister died of cystic fibrosis, and when we got married, we made a covenant for the rest of our life. We're going to raise $1,000 every year for research to end cystic fibrosis. And I'm like, wow. She goes, and furthermore, I've never worked for a company who's ever given to it. And furthermore, we've never hit the $1,000. I'm like, oh my gosh, part of me is thinking, I thought we hire overachievers here, whatever, come on, $1,000, so I wrote back and I said, wow, and tears ran down my face. I'm like, that is so moving. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, Sophie, we're going to do this. Don't tell everyone, but if for every year you're with us, I'll double it. And then I'm doing the math. I'm like, 4 years, that's like 72 grand. Anyway, but I'm like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. In 4 years' time, 3 years, every 3 years, the company doubles in size anyway. I'm like, there's going to be more. It's a percentage of our profits are going to this stuff.
Right.
I'm like, that's the stuff I want to give. Like at the end of my days, I want to be able to give an account for impacting people's lives. And here's a positive way we can. I'm not writing the check to abc.org. I'm actually going to give purposefully and personally to the people who matter most, and that's our people. It's a profit sharing for impact, and I think it's going to increase retention. Well, it does. It increases retention and growth because people want to grow because they know that it's not so Jonathan can buy another yacht. It's actually so we can be more impactful. And our goal this decade is $30 million by 2030. We're already 43% there and 3 years in. So
wow, that's incredible.
Congratulations. And we will be right back.
With employee disengagement at its highest level in 9 years, your company can't afford to miss the mark when it comes to optimizing your hiring, management, and team performance practices. At its lowest level, employee turnover costs you $11,000 per person. And those are dollars you can easily save with the right set of people analytics. Real Good Ventures is a talent optimization consultancy specializing in world-class analytics specific to your people and the critical role they play within your organization. Gain confidence in your hiring practices, keep the boss holes from driving your talent away, design your teams for flawless execution, and create a culture that offers meaning and fulfillment. Real Good Ventures has a family of validated diagnostic tools specific to the human aspect of business, because we know that all business issues are people issues. Visit us today at www.realgoodventures.com and bring meaning and fulfillment back into your workplace.
Okay, let's get back to the program.
I just love that. Generosity is a business strategy, but really it's a heart strategy. We know you're very fond of the head, the heart, the briefcase, and you emphasize the heart in everything you do. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Jonathan, as always, I got to tell you, every time we were so looking forward to this, because even when we would connect at Optima, just talking to you, we're not in your presence or we're in Zoom presence, is always a joy. It really is a lot of fun. You're doing some just really cool stuff. And this is just another example of it. And by the way, I want to remind our listeners, go into the show notes. I will have a link to Titus Talent Strategies, Jonathan's LinkedIn profile, a link to your book, Right Seats, Right People. go get it. I mean, it's a great read, and you're just always active in a lot of what else are you doing? What else should we expect our listeners? Where can we expect, or where should they expect to see you active out there in the talent sphere?
Well, somebody just asked, after writing that book, it was more just like, what's your process? How do you do it? So we wrote out the process. That's what the book is really about. It's a 4-phase process for hiring top performers. So a lot of this, maybe your listeners are thinking, that's a bit mushy, all this generosity thing. Let me tell you this. 100% of the people in our company give us at least 100% performance. And because every position should have a number of performance. So we deeply believe if we're going to pay you 100% of your salary, we should get 100% output. So every position is quantifiable by, this is what would make us really happy if we're going to pay you 100% of your salary. Now, we don't reduce somebody's income. Well, you only gave us 80%, so we're paying you 80%. We don't do that, but it is a question, right? If the position is worth paying 100% salary for, shouldn't we not expect 100% output performance? So we deeply believe that, and it's because of these things that we can have such a generous mindset as well, because growth, retention, generosity. So there's nothing about us. I'm a very driven, fast. We're 5 years in a row on Inc. 5000. We're debt free as an organization and massively growing, doubling every 3 years. So, all right. So having said all of that, we wrote this book, and then people say, "Can you come and speak on this book?" And I'm like, "No, I wrote the book so I don't have to speak on it. It's in the book. Read the bloody book. I even did an audio book. You can listen to the audios on Amazon." With my accent as well.
Which is awesome. That's right. Everybody wants to listen to that.
So I just sound smarter. British people sound smarter, unless you're from the north of England, and that's really not a good accent. I'll get somebody hitting me up for that. But so one of the things that really I'm passionate about is this whole topic of making an impact. How do we use a business strategy, as you say, Sarah, as like generosity as a business strategy? We've been using this for profit, for good. And so we had a client of ours, they asked for Super Bowl tickets, which my jaw dropped. I was like, wow, that's some guts right there. Yeah. My simple answer was like, absolutely not. Buy your own bloody Super Bowl tickets. And one of our VPs said, well, that's how business is done. They spend all these millions of dollars with us, and then we give them Super Bowl tickets. I'm like, well, they're not spending the money. Their company is. It wasn't even the CEO who owned it, And I'm like, you know what? Here's what I think about that. I'll take you on an all expenses paid trip to Mexico, and you can bring a significant other with you as well, and we'll pay for every penny. And the VP on our team goes, you mean to go and build houses for the poor and those who are homeless? And I'm like, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm planning on doing. And so, which we do every 3 years. We take our whole company down there. And then I was like, because of this request, I'm like, screw this. Like, I'm going to show this person that our partnership should be for good. Like, it's not say get little perks and kickbacks, or me hoarding it all for myself. Because we're in partnership, let's go do good together. So we did our first partner trip or client trip, and we went down there and built a couple of houses over a weekend, and it was awesome.
Wow.
Okay, so they did go. They did go.
Did the Super Bowl people go?
That person didn't, but we took about 25 others.
Okay. Wow.
They were busy at the Super Bowl or something.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and so we started doing these multiple times a year, taking our clients down on trips, with an organization that's built like 7,000 homes down in Mexico. And I was like, it was so moving and impactful. To have a meal with your customers is one thing. To go and sort of sweat and swing a hammer and build a house and hand them the keys for the very first time is, tear pouring down your face kind of interaction. I'm like, how do you get more of that with your customers? I'm like, here's part of the growth, retention, and generosity. It all ties together. People want to do business with people they like, and you like somebody that you went and did really good work together. So that's kind of the other philosophy there. So we're doing planning our first trip to Africa in the spring of next year. One of our not-for-profit clients has these solar-powered lights they take out there. It's called Watts of Love, and it's an amazing organization. So I'm like, take me with a bunch of our customers to some of these villages in the middle of Malawi, and so we're going to take a trip down there, which is going to be great. And it's just another for profit, for good. So we deeply believe in it. It's part of why we exist.
Wow.
Amen, brother. That's awesome. That is just great.
I don't have a whole lot to say except for wow. And here I thought we were almost done. And then you dropped that gem in there, Jonathan. That's incredible. Well, I think
if you go to YouTube /Titus Talent, Titus Talent, you'll see on our YouTube channel, there's a whole thing called the Catalyst Chronicles. It's one of our shows there.
Okay.
And it's just, we produce it all in-house. We just film loads of these kind of trips and stories of impact. Which is not for bragging, it's to inspire people.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, but that's a cool place to check out some of those things.
We'll put that in the show notes for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Jonathan, thank you, man.
Great.
Tell everybody we know they're at Titus Talent. Hello. Great respect for you. Keep up the great work. And I'm just so glad we had some time with you. And I'm glad our listeners now have had a chance to meet you.
You're welcome. It's always good to be here. Thanks so much.
All right.
Until next time. We'll see you next time on the Boss Hole Chronicles. Take care.
We'd like to thank our guest today on the Boss Hole Chronicles. And if you have a Boss Hole Chronicles story of your own, please email us at mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. Once again, mystory@thebossholechronicles.com. We'll see you again soon.